listening to the TruTalk podcast, the place for real insights on real estate with real people. In today's episode, we're talking to Kris, Bhend and Tiffany White of Catch Staging.
Welcome, ladies.
Why, thank you, Nat. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
First question. Have you ever been on a podcast before?
No, I have not.
First time.
Oh, I love it. All right. This is good because I'm a veteran. This is my fourth podcast. So I would consider myself a veteran. Okay. Today we're talking about one of my favorite things that I discovered very up close and personal this year, the benefits of staging and your amazing staging company, which is, give me the formal title, it's Catch Staging Consultants, right? Or is it just Catch Staging?
Catch Staging and Consultant.
Yeah.
Or Consulting, right? But it's really just Catch Staging. That's our handle.
Catch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Catchy name. Okay.
Did we catch your eye?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
you caught my eye.
Thank you.
So this past year, I sold a house. And Tiff, of course, you helped me with it. And it was an amazing experience. But part of that experience was seeing Kris pull up in her pickup truck with all the stuff. And I want to talk about that, here in a bit. But let's just talk about how, Catch Staging came about and what's the origin story for your little venture.
Sure. Well, let me start. Like I said, it all started in 72. Totally kidding.
I wasn't born yet. I'm the younger one.
Whatever, braggadocious. Okay, so Kris had been a stager many moons ago, and I, of course, am an agent, a broker, and I had used Kris, and we just hit it off. We really hit it off, and she was super talented, still is, and we kept in touch. And then I just became more and more of a listing agent and decided to stage all my listings as a service to my clients. And then we just decided to start a company called Catch Staging. And the rest is history.
That it is.
Yeah. And can I just say this? It's a staging company with occupied homes. I mean, we'll do vacants, but the real hole in the market was staging occupied homes.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Mine was an occupied home, and we had to stage it. We'll get to that in a second. So, Kris, do you have a background in interior design? Like, how did you guys get to this point?
Yeah, I just grew up in construction. My dad was in construction. We flipped houses. My whole life, go to houses, tour them, architecture. Every city we go to, all those historical tours, I'm in on all of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just love it.
Naturally talented.
Yeah. And I've built 10 houses of my own.
Wait a minute, you built 10 houses of your own? That seems like its own podcast right there.
Yeah. Well, that's why my family loves that I'm doing this now, because it fills my itch of continuously redesigning homes. So at least they don't have to move.
Cheaper.
So, Tiff, you mentioned that you decided for all your listings you were going to stage.
Yes.
Are you saying you don't ask them about it? Like, how stern are you when it comes to this? How much do you put your foot down and say, like, we need to stage your home?
Well, listen, I mean, it is a service, and it's all about making people feel comfortable, for sure. But I think once I show before and after photos, or we go through the numbers of, okay, if we do this, this, and this, we could likely sell for this. It's, but it's at the end of the day, it's their comfort level, it's their convenience, it's their life. So do I present the option? Absolutely. So it's not a must strong arm kind of situation. Most of my clients absolutely take advantage of the service. It's actually really amazing. I mean, most of them say they don't want to leave once we get finished with the staging process.
Like
They
that
definitely-
HD
Absolutely.
TV show where they fix up the house
Yeah.
and then you decide you don't want to sell it?
Yeah. And so, again, it's really fun. I mean, we try to make it fun and less nerve-wracking process for our clients.
Well, let's talk about my experience. So my experience was, as a complete surprise, we went under contract on a new home and we had to sell my house of 23 years. So as, people might imagine, that's a challenge. Like, I have a house that, has been mine for a long time and is full of two little tiny children and lots of guitars, and we had to figure that out. And so it was a no-brainer because I trusted you, and whatever you said that I needed to do to sell my house, I was going to do. But I have to be honest, when we made all the changes, we got a lot of our stuff out of the house, we got it set for staging, and then you and Kris came in and staged. It was an amazing experience because I had been working on that house to get it in that shape for 23 years. But when the staging was complete and we had the professional photos that were done, those photos, because I'm very sentimental, and that's the house where my kids were born and where I got married, I met my wife when I was living in that house. My whole life has taken place in that house. To have those pictures of that fully staged house and that those pictures show it as like the ideal version of what the house can look like. When I'm walking through the house after you guys staged it, I totally get it. Like, it doesn't look like the house that we typically live in. It looks like the house of the future, and it shows what the house is going to look like for the new owners. And it was very transformative, and it was, those pictures are a treasure for us. Like, I go back and look at them all the time, and the staging plays a key role because it doesn't have like messy kid stuff everywhere, and everything's in perfect, pristine condition.
That's right.
And I'm the biggest fan. So, what do you see from clients? What do they say?
Yeah, that's the goal. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is the goal. Because when you're living in a home, it's kind of like the commercial where we go nose blind thing. I say we go house blind. We can't see. We don't see the clutter or see that little red and black thing that's just sticking over there in the corner that we shoved there, a dog toy, the kids' toys.
Yeah.
Just life, right?
Yeah.
And so we're trying to show your home in its best light because this is a product that we're selling.
That is the thing. That is the thing.
We want to show the product in the best light. What kind of cool architecture do you have? Do you have an awesome view? Like, that's where we want to take the buyer's eye. We want them to fall in love.
Yeah, and there's no way to prove you get top dollar. It's be tough to prove that, but from my perspective, like, it's a given. Like,
right, yeah.
The house that shows better is going to sell and is going to be more attractive. The difference, and you guys know this, like the difference from having, let's say you get 3 offers, the difference between having 3 offers and 5 offers because of staging in your world is like night and day. So, it's such a great service, and having lived through it, it's kind of a no-brainer. So I hope people understand that. So, what is the typical, like, how does the process work for staging? What's a day like? That's my question.
All right. So first of all, you saw me pull up with my truck,
yes.
kind of skipping ahead. So I have to start with Pilates because it takes some muscles to carry all that stuff in and out.
I do yoga.
Exactly. So we go to the house the first time, as you know, fresh eyes, looking for things that are going to show it off in its best light. So we take all the stuff that you need to remove. If we have a small room, what are we going to do with that room? Do we have an awkward space, a really big loft that we need to, give it a function so that it makes someone be like, oh, this is exactly what I'm going to do with this room.
Right.
Then once we leave there, basically we come up with a game plan of what we want to bring into the house. We have a huge warehouse full of stuff, and since we specialize in occupied homes, vacant homes are easy, right? We could go in, we could make it look like something out of a magazine because it's all fresh.
It's
all
an empty
new.
canvas.
Empty canvas. Nothing there.
100%.
We can go with whatever colors we want.
But when we have to work with Grandma's purple couch, that's a different story, Matt.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. I've got so many questions about that. But Kris, you skipped over one of my favorite parts of this process. You guys went around and you put stickers on every single thing in my house to tell me what is going to stay and what has to go.
We do.
And we literally had to go and buy a storage facility just to, based on, we're getting rid of a lot. And there was even some things like I thought, that's for sure stay. Like my office with the desk and everything's black mat. And I said, we're leaving this. And Tiff goes, nope, get that out of here right now. And she was right because it showed so much better on the other side. It didn't look like a man's matte black office that is got guitars in it or stuff like that. It looked like the office that the new owner was going to have in their house.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because we are appealing to everybody. And we use the stickers because it's easy, right? This is an overwhelming process, can be, getting ready to sell your home. And so if you just have to walk in a room, follow our stickers. Sometimes, like, we write little notes to
Yes.
you.
You
Maybe
made
when
it
we're
so
reading
easy.
Yes.
that or the other. Yeah, it makes it easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's one aspect of this I really want to bring out. My wife and I were sitting back. You put outdoor furniture at our house, which we didn't have in this particular area out on the patio. And we were sitting there, and it occurred to us why this is so familiar. When you go and stay at an Airbnb, it's all staged perfectly. Like it looks like a beach resort or a mountain house or whatever. Like we're used to this, like this, oh, look, it's perfectly done. Like it's designed this way to be inviting for us. And that's what we felt like living in our own home. Like, oh, everything's staged, just like being on a vacation.
That's right.
awesome.
That's what we're trying to create. We need those buyers in here.
All right, so I remember that day came where you switch everything out. So all my stuff is out, and then you have, when it's an occupied home, you don't have the blank canvas. But if the client has done their job, like I did.
You did.
Like if the client has done their job and got all the stuff with stickers out of the house, then you come in and you've got the plan. You went and designed it.
Right.
Do you have like a warehouse where you keep all this stuff? And like how many houses do you have at a time? And are you constantly acquiring? I'm very curious about all these things.
That is a great question. Not often do we get these questions. We do. We have a huge warehouse, huge. And it's growing by the minute, it seems.
That would be my fault.
Yeah.
I'm a shopper.
And
Do
we
you have to constantly be on the lookout for items or do you see items everywhere? Like, oh, I'm at a so-and-so store on South Boulevard and I say, oh, we got to have it. Like, just constantly?
Sometimes. I mean, we work with a lot of neutrals, but we also have to work with some colors to bring in the continuity for the rooms. Like I said, Grandma's purple couch.
Yes.
We try to tone that down because not everyone can get a storage unit, and we just work with what is there. Oftentimes we'll put it in the garage, but yeah. So we have a huge storage room, and we have a good eye. And we go back to that storage facility and we just start tagging our own things of what's going to work. There's a lot of juggling because we don't just have one job. We have lots of jobs, and they're coming and going. And what else?
Yeah.
We high five each other so much. It is so fun.
It's got to be fun. I have to be honest. Like seeing you pull up in the pickup, like I had to come in and do mortgages that day. So, it looked like that was a lot more fun to be honest with you. So I want to talk about the difference between, let's say you have an occupied house and it's set up and staged, but somebody's living in there. Back when we sold my house, the time was compressed. Like we'd go on the market and try to have it under contract. Now we're kind of living in a more normal market. What's that like? You stage in a house and it might be on the market for weeks and they have to live in it staged. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
They do. They live in it staged, and every time there's a showing that comes up, they know the drill. They try to make it look like no one's living there. That's always the goal. Like it's a model home, and and all of our clients are very conscientious, very respectful. They know, they take care of our things. So.
And it's not like it's over cluttered with staging. That's the whole point is
Right.
you've got what in
Exactly.
there, what actually works to the eye, but not too much, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because we're selling the house, so we don't want them caught up in the things. We want it to feel great, which is why, like one of the tricks Tiff was talking about was color, right? So we weave the same color throughout the whole house. When you walk through a model home, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah. And the photos.
And the photos, yeah.
All right, so that's one of my questions. So that's by design. You want to be as neutral as you want to take away, and I think that's part of what I learned about my office. Like my office had a lot of personality. You were trying to take that personality away. You don't want it to be so specific. You want it to be as kind of neutral and I don't want to say boring, but you want to neutral, I guess is the word.
Well, we're appealing to, the farmer in Montana that may come, the guy from Wall Street, that comes from Manhattan, and literally everywhere in between.
Yeah.
And so, that's why we just use kind of neutral, tried and true appeals to everyone. Like it may not be their exact style, but they'll walk in and they can appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
it'll
like,
be
I like
light,
it.
airy, and because buyers, we want to make it easy for them. Sometimes they cannot see through a green paint or a taste-specific piece of art. So you'd be surprised. I hear what they're saying when I'm walking through the home. So we want to make it easy for them.
So you mentioned light and airy.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of, as my wife would say, on trend right now. But do you think that will always be the way? Like, would you foresee a day when we would like want to have darker, lush tones in the staging world, or is it always going to be this way?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because 2023, a lot of the tones are those deep tones, and that's A-okay as long as it's not the entire home. It might be an accent wall. It might be a piece of furniture that we can work off of with those pops of color. But overall, it's a very psychological process for the buyer, and they do prefer light, airy, spacious.
Yeah.
Would you not agree, my friend?
100%.
Thank you.
People can always, I think, imagine like darkening a space up.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's hard to imagine
right.
lightening a space up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've had buyers walk into a home and it's painted green, and then no, can't do this.
All right.
And it's just paint.
You bring up a good issue. All right. So when you are listing a home and it's got, let's just say, some eclectic paint choices, do you repaint it? Like, how far are you willing to go?
We advise and we recommend, and we have
Yeah.
wonderful painters.
And paint is so easy. It's a fast process. It's relatively cheap. The return on your investment is huge, and it's got the biggest impact for your buck.
Right.
Changes the whole feel.
It is amazing to me that with all the HGTV and home improvement stuff that people have watched, I'm sure you still get comments like, oh, I don't like that house. The colors are all wrong. And you have to combat that. Like, that's one day. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
easiest thing in the world.
Right.
That chartreuse paint can be
Right.
gone in a second. What are you talking about?
Right. But just like you mentioned, now there's a little bit more competition. There's more homes for the buyer to see. Right?
Yep. So what is the most fun part of the job when it comes to staging?
I mean, besides being together.
Yeah, this one right here just cracks me up. And we are polar opposites. But the process, I mean,
Yeah.
your home was awesome, but just seeing where it was to like living with two little kids and a bit too busy humans, to the pictures. I mean,
Yeah.
the process is just so awesome.
It's rewarding.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then look
It
at the
never
success,
disappoints.
The success
Yeah.
rate.
Yeah, it completely works. But it's also, I can imagine the payoff that you get is every house is different and you get a new project every time.
It's not the same.
Yeah, they're
And
never
every
alike.
personality is different. I mean, sometimes a lot more hand holding.
Yes.
Some people are like, do what you want. I get it. It just, so every time is different. And so the favorite part, honestly, is probably just having someone awesome to go through it with. And then just that we are people pleasers and people.
Yeah.
And this is a people business.
It's the best part.
Yeah.
It's never the same.
Yeah. And she doesn't mind that I'm late all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
It allows for
I
a
have to say
lot
that
of
out loud.
Starbucks on my end.
look, I share business with people who are late all the time too, so I know your pain, Kris. So what's the toughest part? We talked about how fun it is, but what's the toughest part?
Well, it's a people business. Like we said. Right?
Same answer.
That's it. So it's managing. It's people managing. And it can be emotional.
Yeah.
Are you with me on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an emotional thing, right, Matt?
Yeah, it is. When you're talking about somebody's home that they're like I was so sentimentally attached to,
Yeah.
it's tough to see it like taken into the hands of somebody else, but
Yes.
it's also super fun because by that time, if you're listing the house, you're selling the house. You're trying to move on from that house, and so it's part of the process.
Absolutely. The memories go with you, but it's now going from your home to a product.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, that transition can be tough
Yeah,
sometimes.
but it's tricky.
How many houses can you have staged at once?
You know more.
Right, like what's the capacity? Like I'm so fascinated by just the logistics. Like, have you thought about getting a bigger truck?
I mean, there are days.
I'm getting a truck now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to say
Yeah,
that.
are we gonna-
Because now all of a sudden I'm everyone's best friend when you've got a truck. But
Yeah, you can't let that get out.
yeah, sorry, cut that, everybody.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, I think at the height we had around 40, and that's plenty to manage.
I thought you were going to
remember-
say 4.
Oh.
Remember, some are just
Yeah.
art, and others are much more intense as far as furniture and so it's, there's different levels.
Gosh, you do have a big
we
warehouse.
manage
do.
it.
Wow, that is fantastic. So how do you stay organized with all that? Because do you ever switch things out of one house and put it in the other house? Like, oh, this is perfect for this, and are you changing it once you get a house stage, or is it all set?
Well, so you're assuming that we're organized, right? I don't know. Have you seen her truck? Have you seen my purse?
Yeah. Ours too.
Yeah.
No, a lot of old-fashioned lists.
Yeah.
When we go into a house, usually, there's generally a few days or at least a week before we stage. We give them some time to do their part. So I will hold back some things in the warehouse if I know 100%, yes, it would look good in this house, but oh my gosh, it's so perfect for this house we have coming up. But we don't really switch it out. But that's part of how we've structured our inventory, is that it's all pretty interchangeable.
Yeah, and if we know that, we have one great picture that we call Gloria, and we have 6 Glorias because she works so many places. You know what I'm saying? Sorry.
Yes, 100%.
Do we not love Gloria?
Gloria is our
and
favorite.
so we have a lot of things that work. We just like the pair of shoes you love. You want to
Yes.
get a couple pairs. That's the same with us.
But these things work, but they also blend into the background and don't take away from the showing of the house, I'm sure.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely.
interesting. So what are the trends that you try to stay, what are the trends right now in staging? What are you trying to do specifically? What is it that, other than light and airy, is there anything else? One of the things I noticed is that you guys put art over our toilets, and that was a big game changer because we had never thought about that. And then when Courtney and I were like, we need art over every toilet. And so now in the new house, we have art over every single toilet.
That's awesome, because who
100%.
wants to look at a toilet?
I don't know what I've been doing with my life all these years.
Right?
Yes. Nobody wants to look at that. Yes, there's art. What else?
That's funny.
What,
Yeah,
other than art
color.
over toilets, what are the big, can you think of anything?
The colors, the color trends, conch shell,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so we'll start using some of the color trends as far as a pop of color here or there.
Yeah.
While we do stay neutral, you do have to stay on trend. That's why our inventory is always changing and shifting and, but not too trendy.
Correct.
Yeah,
Makes
you
sense?
don't.
We
you
were
don't
not
wanna
going
be,
trendy.
You don't want to be
because-
on the forefront of the
Because
trends.
that can
right.
be taste specific.
Yes.
We really want to stay
Exactly.
clear of the taste specific.
Do you, if you have let's say somebody has a house, let's say it's in South Charlotte, but it's on a golf course, and they've leaned into this sort of resort vibe. Are you going to lean into that with staging? Is that something that you want to do, or you want to still always remain just completely neutral?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. We try to take it back to as neutral as possible. We have to embrace what they've got because otherwise you're messing with the continuity, right? But we have to kind of bring it back into the middle. Our job is to market to as many people as possible, to have it appeal to as many people as possible. So it's a great question. And another thing we do, and because I have the benefit of seeing what's on the market through my realtor site, is I do see what our competition is. And so sometimes that might bring us some insight. If they have a sunroom and our competition doesn't, we really want to highlight the things that are going to make us shine. So there's a good amount of thought put into this. Wouldn't you say so?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. So, but if they've gone with Mountain Lodge, you're not putting antlers up on the wall.
Yeah, see,
No.
That's
that's
a
the
no.
taste
It's a little taste
specific.
specific.
That's gotta get used to those words. Taste specific.
Okay, we're gonna finish with a little this or that.
Ooh.
And
sorry.
and by the way, if we want to do something that's not on this list, if you have some ideas, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right, so gray or beige?
Do we say it together? What's
No, I
what
want to
are the
hear if
rules
you
to
argue
this?
about it. What do you think? Which do you choose, gray or beige?
I'm gonna say beige.
Yeah, I was gonna say grayish, like really
Yeah.
that nice in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over gray, but let's not go back
Gray
to
was,
the
Gray was
90s beige.
2017, 2018. We're steering out of
90s
we'll go-
beige, you called it?
Yeah, I feel like my first house,
Yes.
you know.
But those were the pinky beiges.
Yeah,
So
so
now
we're-
we're doing the grays.
now we're doing the
I
Gracious.
call that Food Line vanilla ice cream.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
should be
my house that you
Benjamin
guys
Morton.
staged, at one time, every single
Yeah.
room was painted Food Line vanilla ice cream.
That's a
Nice.
side
I'm
gig
gonna
for
use
you.
that one.
You can
Yes.
name paints.
Well, you're very welcome. You can patent that if you want.
All right.
Hardwoods or LVP?
Depends on the price point. I don't mind LVP. I mean, hardwoods always work.
Yeah.
Hardwood is the answer, right?
I mean, listen, but not everyone sells a $2 million home or
That's
a
true.
$100 million home. If all you can do is LVP, there are
Yes.
some beautiful LVPs out there.
There are, and I, in our downstairs renovation in my house, we
Yeah.
had LVP, and it was great. The toddlers spilt,
Yeah.
and you just wipe it up, and
It's a great
Just
product.
moves on to the next world.
It's a great product.
all right. Whitewash or traditional brick exterior?
I'm a total whitewash.
I'm gonna go with the whitewash too.
Any
Whitewash
paint,
or painted?
any paint
Yeah.
on brick, I'm on board.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
in the South. Come on,
I-
embrace.
If I see a non-painted brick, I'm not a fan. I
Yeah.
love painted brick.
Me too.
It's a
All right.
to be painted.
Yes.
That's fine.
Navy or green?
Green. I'm a green girl.
100% green. If you've seen, our Instagram, that's my house. It's black, white, and green.
I know the answer to this one. Light and airy versus dark and moody. You're going to choose light and airy every time.
You got to.
All right, so ladies, what is the footprint for Catch? I mean, what kind of geography are you covering for your service?
Thank you for asking that, Matt. So we are both Carolinas. We'll cover both Carolinas, all agents, all firms. I think we've probably helped at least 40 or 50 agents in this past year alone.
Absolutely.
So we're super busy and friends to all.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to have all the information on how people can contact Catch. We're going to have all the particulars in the show notes. Thank you guys for coming.
You are
This
so
is
welcome.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
us.
Isn't this fun?
Easy
It was.
breezy, lemon squeezy.
And I'll have you back for a future podcast.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.